Good evening. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals for October 2018 is now in session. I would like to introduce the board. To my far left is Skip Sweeney and Brandon Dines. I am Ivan Valentic. To my right is Todd Goling and Blair Hamilton. To my far right is Heather Freeman, our zoning inspector. This evening, under the voice of council, we ask that anyone speaking must be sworn in. If you plan on speaking, please stand and raise your right hand. Thank you. All right. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? If so, help me God. Say I do. Okay, thank you. Please be seated. This evening, when you're presenting or speaking, come to the microphone and state your name and address for the record, and also confirm that you've been sworn in for the record, okay? Heather, were the legal notices published in a timely manner?
Yes, they were.
All right, thank you. Tonight we have two appeals. A 3-vote majority is required to either approve or deny your appeal. If a request is denied, you have the right to file an appeal, and then you can see Heather if that happens. Okay. First is variance number 2018-39, Lake County Committee on Family Violence, DBA Forbes House. On behalf of Berlin Inc. is requesting a variance to sections 22.02 and 22.03 table of uses to permit a domestic violence abuse shelter within an existing building located at 7480 Auburn Road, located in the B1 Restricted Retail District. Please come up and present your case.
My name is John Dolce. I live at 11175 Caddy Lane, Concord, Ohio. I happen to be the board president of Forbes House. What we're looking to do
And you've
here,
been sworn in, sir?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I've been sworn in, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Unfortunately, what we're looking for is another shelter for the clients that we represent in Painesville now. We have a place in Painesville. We currently have 7 bedrooms that we house our clients 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, 365 days a year, and unfortunately, we're looking for more space to house our clients. You know, with this new shelter, we hope to get into a little bit more mental stuff in regards to counseling. We're looking to put in a garden for them. The building has been empty for about 2 years now. There's not a lot. We will be doing no exterior work. What we'll be doing is the interior. We'll be putting in another maybe 7 to 8 bedrooms, a kitchen, play area for the kids, something that when they leave home, they have a place to come where it's safe. So my appeal is if we can change and ask for a variance in that.
Okay. Does anyone have any questions for him from the board? I do not have any at this time.
Is this in addition to or replace?
Yes, this will be in addition to it.
You said you're adding bedrooms?
Yes.
How many?
Well, we're working with Joe Myers, the architect from Willoughby. Right now, the building is actually completely emptied.
Okay.
And we're in the process of trying to get once we get this approved, hopefully, then we'll sit down with him and see how many bedrooms we could fit in and what we're trying to do as far as, we like to have a meditation room for him, somewhat of a library. We're actually looking to get we've had a donor who's been willing to donate some money to put in like a little fitness center for him.
Okay.
Yeah, again, it's just a place so they can come to and feel safe away from where their situation is now.
So you don't anticipate expanding the footprint of the current building?
Not at this time, no. Not at all. Again, we're not going to close the shelter we have in Painesville. That will be an existing shelter. We have staff there. Like I said, we have 7 bedrooms there and approximately 6 offices. But unfortunately, again, we don't have space anymore. What we do in that situation, we'll rent us some rooms from other hotels, and we'll put them in there until we're able to counsel them. We take them to court. You know, we have advocates that work with them to get them in a better place after, you know, they're allowed to stay with us for about 60 days. We give them all the counseling and help that they can, and then we move them on to a different housing development for them. But they leave, like, I don't know if you know what the shelter is. I mean, they leave in the middle of the night with their kids sometimes with nothing. You know, we help when we can.
Do you think you got enough parking? Is there sufficient parking there? You're not gonna expand that?
No, no. We've had some preliminary meetings with Joe and the builder, and we currently have the same parking that we have now. The grasses area that are in the back, we're hoping to put in some gardens
Okay,
so the client can, you know, have a garden, grow tomatoes, you know, things like that.
okay. Any other questions from the board? No? You guys are good?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. You can see this. Is there anyone else here this evening that's either speaking for or against this appeal that'd like to come up? Okay, if there's no further questions, the public hearing for variance number 2018-39 is now closed to the public. I will entertain a motion to approve variance number 2018-39.
So moved.
Second?
Thank you. Open discussion on the board. Anything you guys want to talk about? Pretty self-explanatory to me. Either of you guys? Anything you
I'll just
wanna
make a
mention?
comment. I mean, there are other conditional uses in this district that could be seen to mimic what's trying to be accomplished here. So
Yeah, agreed. Todd, you good? You're in deep thought over there.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the footprint question. I mean, if 7 bedrooms are good, 10 would be better, and it's definitely a good service for people to go. But it's the expansion on here is. I mean, there's really not a whole lot they can grow into. The building's been empty for years. Just thinking out loud here. I'm good otherwise.
Okay. All right, if that's the case, the question is on the approval of variance number 2018-39. A yes vote is for the approval of the variance, and no vote denies it. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Dimes?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes.
Mr. Hamilton?
yes.
Mr. Valente?
Yes. Your variance has been approved. Thank you. Good luck. Okay, next on the docket is variance number 2018-40. Stephen Olbrich and Donna Olbrich are requesting a variance from sections 17.04B, 17.07A to allow for the construction of a single-family dwelling with a 50-foot riparian setback in lieu of the 75-foot required for the property located at 7325 Brookridge Lane. Please come up and present your case.
Steve Olrich, 7549 Parker Drive, Monroe, Ohio.
You've been sworn in, sir? You've been sworn in?
I am.
Okay.
My wife Donna and I own the property at 7325 Brookridge Lane. We purchased this property from the developer in July of 2010. The house plans and the site plans were approved by the developer in October of 2010.
October of 2010?
Yes. For various reasons, major health issues among them, we have been unable to build. Early this year, we decided to sell the property. We found a buyer, and as the buyer was doing their due diligence, it was discovered that Concord Township in July of 2016 had passed riparian setback regulations with a 75-foot requirement. After working with the Barrington Consulting Group, who created the site plan, it was determined that this property is not buildable without a riparian zoning variance. We are requesting a 25-foot variance. Also, prior to tonight's meeting, Concord Township zoning notified all adjacent property owners by mail. No such notification was afforded affected property owners prior to the passing of the new riparian requirements in 2016. In addition, the site plans show The elevation of the proposed walkout basement is over 6 foot above the 100-year floodplain. The real estate taxes on this property are $1,459.36 per year. All taxes are, of course, current. I've asked Dave Novak of the Barrington Consulting Group to accompany me this evening. He can answer any questions specific to the site plan or the requested zoning variance. Thank you.
Did you guys consider any other site plan layouts besides this one that
Well-
was provided, or a different house footprint?
Let me,
Dave, name and,
my name's Dave Novak from Barrington Consulting Group. The address is 9114 Tyler Boulevard, and yes, I have been sworn in. This is the same document that was sent to as part of the application process, but I'd like to color things up so it's a little easier for everybody to understand.
Thank you, Dave.
You're welcome. And I think this diagram again is the site plan that was submitted for the application. And there's a dashed line that kind of goes down at the bottom of the slope there. That's Kellogg Creek. That's the existing creek
and purple.
in purple. There's a blue line that represents a 25-foot setback off of the edge of the creek. There's a green line which would be the 50-foot, which is what we're asking for, and the pink line represents the 75, or what's current, based on your regulations. And part of when you ask the question were there any other houses or layouts of the lot, I think it's kind of obvious that if you look at where that 50-foot riparian setback is, this would have to be a very, or the 75, this would have to be a very long and narrow house. We also showed, when they were anticipating building on the property, it was shown with a 2-car side load garage, and there's one front load garage there also. And that's why, the side setback that's shown is 21 feet. And the reason for that is to be able to get out of the garage, turn around, and go down the driveway head first, because you surely wouldn't want, this is a relatively steep driveway. There's really no place to put it. The only other place to put a turnaround if you had a front load garage would be in the front, which this really doesn't afford the ability to put a turnaround in the front.
Steep how? Like steep incline, like you go
Yes.
up the hill?
Yes. I'd have to double check, but we're probably approaching 10% on that driveway. So all of these conditions were taken into account back in 2010 when they had purchased the property, worked with Little Mountain Homes to design a home that really fit this lot. The other colored line on here, there's a red line that kind of goes along the creek, meanders through there, and again, that's the 100-year flood elevation. So even in a 100-year storm event, it's anticipated that the water would never rise above that red line. So I believe we're trying to be cooperative here, and it would have been my recommendation that we ask for the variance to be 50 feet, or we only go to a 25-foot riparian setback, so that we can really use and enjoy that property. Because if you look at the blue line, that would afford my clients to use the property in the back and to the west side of the property. Right now, when you go to the green, that whole side over towards the creek, which is one of the nicer features of the property, to be able to go over there and see the water meandering through that creek. We're going to be very restrictive as to what we can do other than walk across that property. So, and again, as my clients mentioned, that you know, they purchased the property in 2010, I believe. The regulations went into existence in 2016, and now we are here in 2018. One of the other things, and I'm sure that a lot of you have seen these standards that everybody uses to determining hardships and so forth. And if we can go down through them real quick, number one is whether the property would yield a reasonable return, or whether there can be a beneficial use of the property without the variance. And I would say definitely not, because without the variance, in our opinion, the lot is almost unbuildable. Whether the variance is substantial. Again, the requirement is 75. I think we should go to 25, but they're willing to go to 50 to kind of try to keep in the spirit of the regulation. Whether the number three
So
was...
what's your answer to that one? Is it substantial, yes or no?
I say no, because of the hardship that this requirement is placed upon the property. Because without the variance, the property is useless. Number three, whether the essential character of the neighborhood would be substantially altered or adjoining properties suffer a substantial detriment. Again, I say no. We have the creek, and the people to the west are on the other side of the creek up the hill off of the, I can't remember the street name over there. Whether the property owner purchased the property with the knowledge of the zoning restriction. That's no. They purchased it on July 19th, 2010. The plat was recorded in February of 2005, way before the regulations. And the new code went in July 15th of 2016. Whether the problem can be solved in some other manner than granting the variance, again, I would say no, because we need the variance in order to be able to build a structure on the property. And item number 7, whether the variance preserves the spirit and intent of the zoning requirement. Again, I would say we're trying to do that by meeting halfway between the 75 and what I think is reasonable is the 25. So that's really all I have, other than, you know, again, this lot is almost 1.3 acres. And when you go down to the 50-foot, if you apply the 50-foot riparian setback, just a little over ½ acre is usable. Currently, the way it is right now, with the 75-foot riparian setback, this 1.3 acre piece of property is reduced to about 4/10 of an acre of usable property, which is a 70% take of their piece of property that they paid good money back in 2010 for. So again, we're here to answer any other questions that the board might have.
So maybe I'll ask one question to start. And so is the topography and the creek alignment based on your 2010 survey?
Yes.
Did you guys go out and verify that this is still the alignment of the channel in that area? Because it has been 8 years since then. And so I only ask because your variance is based on this, dimension, but if the creek, say, shifted 10 feet.
We have not gone back out and relocated the creek.
Okay.
And who's actually building? You mentioned earlier you might be under contract, you're looking to sell it, but the potential buyer examined it.
We're looking to sell.
So you're
Come to the microphone, please.
You haven't been sworn or acknowledged yet, rather. But
Yes.
Donna Olbrich, I own the lot at 7325 Brookridge Lane.
You've been sworn in?
I have been sworn in. So, in a perfect world, we would have billed and we wouldn't have been here. We would have billed 8 years ago, but because of multiple reasons and my husband's health, we decided to finally sell the property. We had a buyer with a young family that loves Concord and wants to be in the mentor school system, and there's not a lot of lots out there in that category. And it wasn't until they reneged on the deal 4 days later that we found out. I didn't even know the word riparian before today, or before then.
I appreciate that. My question is this the home that you had proposed to build
Yes.
at some point? This is not, is this currently your plan then to actually construct this home for yourselves and move to the property?
No, we gave the plan, we had to apply for a zoning permit and be rejected to apply for a variance to sell the land to someone that wants to build, and they would build in a similar footprint to what we had given them, that what we had proposed initially.
But could the new buyers go in there and say, we're fans of long skinny houses, and they don't want this footprint at all? I mean, they could totally reject this thing on here.
They did a site plan with their builder, and I don't know who their builder was, but it was similar in size, a one-story ranch house. And it would, I think, even be narrower than our present house, but I don't know how much narrower. I will add that both my husband and I are retired now, and this is a substantial lot. It's about $100,000 lot, and if we don't get a variance, it will be a financial hardship to my husband and I.
So it's clear, you're looking for that 25 feet setback change, I guess, through across the whole property, not just where you're building the house. Because the house, if I look to as an example, Dave, up front, you want that change, but
Well,
you're not building in that area. So
right,
you're
but
looking for the whole area.
But actually, if you look at the yellow line represents the limits of the property, okay?
Yeah.
And the green line is the variant, would represent that 50 foot. Once you get almost to the front of the house, if you project the front of the house over to the western property line, that riparian setback goes off the property. So it doesn't affect us, but again, at worst case, I guess we would say the northern property line up until it intersects the 50-foot requirement. If you guys wanted that little bit of area, I guess, along the north property line or that angled property line. What I'm saying is this line right here, the yellow line, represents our property line. So once it crosses that, our property line, I guess you might want to talk to your legal advisor, but in reality, once it crosses our property line, if you're granting us a variance on our piece, I don't know that that variance crosses the property line. I would say it does not.
No, it does not, but I guess the point is, well, the riparian setback, what we're trying to do is protect the riparian corridor. So you're looking for an X percentage change in the variance. We could potentially reduce that variance amount if we say that this pink line, instead of going all the way up there, ties in here, and this is still, or as it comes through, this doesn't become part of, this is maintained as riparian buffer up front. When we look at the area that you guys are requesting, is that an option? Or are you looking for the whole thing?
I think, again, only because of the restriction of the side yard and the rear yard overlooking the creek, which is one of the nice features of this piece of property, that we're already being restricted back there. I would think that somebody would want to be able to have the use and the enjoyment of that I'm going to say that 20 feet, I don't know that it's exactly that, 20 feet from the pink line to the property line in the front yard.
So we received a letter from Chad Edgar at Soil and Water. You know, his comment number 3 is that the proposed building fill placement and setback currently consists of dense woody vegetation. The riparian setback's water quality function will be compromised with the proposed improvements. How much they're compromised, I don't know. Maybe Chad doesn't know either. But I'm asking the question, is there any wiggle room in what we're proposing here to try to reduce the water quality impact to the stream?
Well, I guess, is there wiggle room in the back then? If we can get some additional relief in the back of the house and along the side of the house, I think it might be reasonable. But again, you know, while Mr. Edgar, I can appreciate his opinion, it's just, again, you're taking a lot that's almost 1.3 acres. And when Concord enacted these rules, you took 70% of the lot away from these folks.
Well, Dave, here's the
And
thing.
I realize that we're trying to do a balancing act of trying to preserve as much as you can to
Right.
protect the residents of Concord.
Right, and we're here, and that's why this board is the lucky group that has to look at these variance requests and use what you present, in our opinion, to try to determine what's the best solution here, and try to work with you guys to develop what we think is the best solution to kind of hash this thing out. We understood, I think Concord understood once they adopted those rules, there's a lot of people that are grandfathered in. We had a ton of them already come through here, and we're gonna have many, many more to come. So I'm just trying to ask questions to see if we could come to a happy medium somewhere with this request. And then I guess another question I would have as a follow-up, there's a front yard setback with the lot has to be a certain dimension. I believe
Correct.
It's 100 feet. Did you take any time to look at, well, what if we push the house up a little bit further to maybe, you know, reduce, because when I look at the impact's mostly in the back of the
Right,
house.
but again, if you look, there's a dashed line just in front of the house, okay? And that is actually where the lot is 100-foot wide at.
Right.
So could this house be moved forward? Yes. Maybe 2 feet
But
to get to that line. I
to
mean,
get to the
it's-
line, but did you look at a front yard setback variance to
We
help?
did not.
Okay,
We did not.
okay.
Dave, just so I'm clear, this riparian setback variance is not fact sensitive to a particular house, correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so, and the chairman's asking you questions about moving the house here. It's an abstract discussion because there's somebody else that's gonna be building this house.
Or a different house.
Right, but
Right.
a potentially a different house, and I can appreciate the board's question, okay? But the problem is that without a variance,
Right.
they can't sell the lot. So we're kind of stuck here between, well, it may not be the exact house, but at least they can demonstrate to a potential buyer that a house of this width, located in this location in the property, based on the variance that hopefully is granted this evening, they could build this house.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, I don't think we're stuck on the house. I just want to make sure everyone understands that when you're talking about, can we move a house here or move it further back, the house we're talking about isn't necessarily the footprint of the house you've got on the exhibit that you produced. You're
And
just
that-
talking about having a straight riparian setback of 25 feet, and then a builder will come in knowing the one thing for certain, that you have a 25-foot variance on the riparian setback. If you want to, as the young lady said, he can make it narrower, but it's not tied into the house, and I just want to make that point.
No, that's correct. And again, if some potential buyer was to come in and need a wider house for whatever reason, then in the 25, if we were granted that 25-foot variance or to the 70 or the 50-foot setback, riparian setback line, they would surely have to come before this board and argue the case again. But we're stuck. We can't sell the property as it is, period.
And
Well,
you're
that was
not,
why I asked the question I asked about the home and the buyer and what you had. I mean, that was.
Well, they had a potential buyer, and when they found out about the riparian setback,
You need a
the deal
variance
was-
to run with the land so you can sell the property.
the deal went away, plain and simple. And like I said, I'm not opposed to maybe granting something along the, that, the front portion of the lot, but I would hope if we're gonna make that negotiation, that we could negotiate and get a little bit more in the back, so that the people have some enjoyment of this piece of property. It's not hindered by, they can't mow it, they can't take a tree down, they can't do anything in that riparian setback.
you're aware of the rules of what you're allowed to do and not do in that riparian setback. You can't build a patio, can't build a driveway, none of those improvements. And you're only looking for the variance on this side of the creek, not on the other side of the creek, because the creek runs through the property, correct?
Right, essentially, again, you'd have to go down the slope, cross the creek, and by the time you get to the other side, there really isn't much usable land, and there's a sanitary sewer easement that goes through that lower area down there. So that property, other than the beauty to be able to sit at the top of the hill and enjoy the, nature as the water rambles through the babbling brook. I don't know if that's the right term I want to use, but
Skip, you got any questions?
Nope.
Anybody else, Blair?
No.
Todd?
I just, why can't the garage be flipped to the back, the house just scooched up front, and then it looks like it kind of fit? And then
Well,
trying to put Legos together and seems
I
like.
guess I'm not quite following you, but again, if you, what I'm kind of hearing you say, almost flip the house 180, flip it front to back.
Yeah, yeah.
Regardless of
Yeah.
where the rooms are, but that's what you're saying. I'm not quite sure how that works, because, again, that green line encroaches into the property. When you flip the house over, we really can't move it to the east, because we would probably we would have to have a side entry garage, and we need enough room to get a vehicle around the garage, around the side of the house. It's almost a square box. I mean, fortunately, up in that, the front corner where on the west side of the house, the house itself sits back a little bit. But again, as Mr. Lucas alluded to, is we could sit here and play with, as you call it, your Lego blocks, and move things around, but when they sell the lot, it needs to be a house that somebody wants to live in. And again, we have a footprint that works with a set of plans that these folks already paid for. And if they would have built in 2010, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah, I guess the thing I struggle with is, you saying that it's not substantial. I mean, I see the 25 feet across that whole riparian setback as substantial, and that's a lot of a riparian corridor on a decent sized stream that's getting cleared, but that's just my opinion on that. I don't want to make the lot not buildable either, but I think the request is pretty substantial. And that's where I was kind of trying to get to, is there a way to reduce that impact somehow? But it doesn't sound like sounds like we want to stick with the 25.
Well, again, I guess I would have to say, what are you suggesting? Because if you look at the grading, again, this, like I mentioned, this lot rises quite a bit as it goes back to where the house is. We've tried to keep the grading reasonably tight to the house. Again, the county requires a maximum slope of 3 to 1, which is what's shown here. You know, the front door is wedged in, I'm gonna say behind that garage where the front porch is, so you have to have a flat area from the driveway to get around the garage to get to the front step. So we have to grade almost to the property line, right there where there's a box that says 745 in it.
Okay. You good, Blair? You guys good over here? Blair, you said you're good?
I don't know whether it's significant to them, but we're only asking for 25 feet to the west of the concrete.
Okay, I don't think we have any other questions.
Okay.
You can be seated. Is there anyone else that's here speaking for or against this appeal that would like to come up? Come on up, sir.
I haven't been sworn in. I'm Bob Brockus, 7321 Brookridge Lane.
All right, we're gonna get you sworn in.
I'm the next door neighbor.
Okay, please raise your right hand. Do you swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? So help me God, if so, say I do.
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
So I just want to know how's it going to impact my house? So I live right next to one.
Bob, where are you? Like, on this map, are you
Yeah,
to the east?
I'm
To the right.
I'm the
Okay.
White House.
Yeah.
The only neighboring house.
I'm sorry?
Gotcha.
The only house that's right next door.
Yeah,
This-
yeah,
this one
yeah.
right
Okay,
here.
go ahead.
Okay.
So I mean, I'm a little concerned about the 25 feet. That's a lot. I mean, I've seen that creek turn blue in the spring from all the fertilizer that goes into it. I don't know, not from that lot, but in general, it's really weird, but the creek turns like a blue-green in the spring with all the fertilizer from everywhere, or whatever causes it. It's just weird. That's my concern. I'd be, that's what I'm trying to say. And as long as it doesn't impact my house, the sale of my house, or, it's not going to cause me any drainage issues. I got enough wet there in my part of my property, so that's all. So I'm concerned about the concern I have is it's going to be closer to the creek, right? That's where the house is going to go. And that's where the house would go. Is that that's what they're saying here? Because I haven't seen what they're.
Do you have one of these plans?
No,
Okay. Dave, why don't you just stay up here?
they have just show, so,
Well, here's your house.
right, yep, that's it, yeah,
And this is where the
right,
potential house
right, sure,
would go with a 21-foot side yard to the side of the house.
right,
Yours is
okay.
probably, I don't know if it's at minimum, but 15 feet. is
Right,
actually
yeah,
the
mine's,
minimum.
right,
And
right.
again, we're talking on the other side of the
Right, so you
properties.
would build, they want to maybe move the house toward the creek, or,
No, the requirement is this pink line. This is the way the code reads.
Right.
It's represented by this pink line.
mm-hmm,
We're
okay,
asking to be able to reduce that
Sure.
variance setback to the green line.
right, gotcha,
That's what we're asking.
okay,
So that this house or some similar
Right.
house could be built in this location.
gotcha, okay, I see what you're saying.
But-
Because that's what it was, that's what was approved 10 years ago, or?
But that doesn't mean that that's where the house will go or that'll
Right,
be the house.
Right, no, I understand
But
that,
then
yeah.
they get that entire area is buildable for that, from the green line.
Yeah, I
to
mean,
the
I
property.
get the dilemma. I mean, if I was rich enough, I'd buy the lot from you. But, okay,
Okay,
yeah,
answers your questions?
yes, thank you.
Do you have anything else for the board?
No,
I have a question.
just.
Mr. Babrukas,
Stay up there, please.
I have a question for you.
Me?
Yes.
Stay up at the podium for just one. for a minute.
How long have you lived at this address?
Gosh.
Let me just ask you, were you there in 2005, 2006?
No, we moved in 2007. I think it was April of 2007.
Was that a year after the torrential?
We were there for the, that huge flood.
You were there for that?
Yeah,
All right.
the water, I don't know if you're familiar with that area.
What did the
but-
water do?
I'm sorry?
What did the water do?
The water,
Did you notice on that lot?
yeah, so it never, I mean, it would never, I don't think, it did not go where they're proposing to have the walkout was gonna be where? Let me show you. The walkout was gonna be here.
Yeah, right here. This is actually where the creek is. This is purple.
Oh,
So this is, well, I don't know.
yeah, I'm sorry, yeah. Where was the walkout gonna be over?
Walkout's gonna be right.
Yeah, when I was there, that would not, the water would not have went into that house. I mean, it's high enough. It spills over into like, my neighbors, across the creek. It spills all into their floodplain. So it would have never,
And that was a like 500-year event?
yeah.
Calling
Actually, if you look at the road grade down there near the culvert, it's about 741. The basement floor, as we have proposed here, is 746.
And the creek's 735?
Right, but even, I mean, it would cross over the road.
Right, that's what
Before
I,
it got any
Across the
higher.
street before it would get to.
right, that's what I want,
to
yeah,
this
because it
proposed
never, in
house.
that storm, it did not
Right.
even cross the road. It came pretty close, but did not cross the road,
Okay, thank you.
so. Any more?
Okay. Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here that would like to speak for or against this appeal that'd like to come up? Okay, with that being said, if there's no one else speaking for or against the appeal, the public hearing for variance number 2018-40 is now closed to the public. I will entertain a motion to approve variance number 2018-40.
So moved.
Second. All right, yes, second. Discussion for the board. Anybody want to start? Any discussion?
Heather, what was the setback in 2000?
There was none.
There wasn't any. I thought there was wasn't there even a minimum back before the new regulations? Like a 20?
No.
So there wasn't any?
No, just the
Okay.
standard side yard setback from
Yeah.
property line.
Yeah, like side yard setbacks.
No variance.
So theoretically,
But that's the problem, there wasn't anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
right.
It's also an issue.
I appreciate that what the riparian setback does. I appreciate the protections it tries to afford. I think looking at these particular folks, the situation they're confronted with, it's a hardship. Had they built previously, and I understand now, they're never going to sell this property without the variance being there. And if they have to go through that exercise, they're probably stuck with it for a long period of time. So I get it. I think the riparian stuff is good and bad. In this particular case, I appreciate you going through the test with us. I think we most all know that by heart, but thank you, David. You highlighted it well, and I see it as a true hardship,
Okay.
in my opinion.
Lawyer, do you have anything you want to add?
No, it's just, it's tough because, given the inability to make any other stipulations in terms of setbacks to the front or some other area, we're dealing with an unknown, so.
Well, and whoever, if and when someone does build, they're going to have all the restrictions that are there
Right.
presently anyway. I mean,
But if we were to say, your front yard setback could be 75 feet,
Yeah, we
you'd
can't,
have some options,
Yeah.
but we can't do that.
we can't do that up here right
So,
now. They need to come to something, to
Right.
show us something.
right.
Yeah.
Good.
You're good? Okay, I mean, I don't have anything else to add to the conversation. So, the question is on approval of variance number 2018-4. A yes vote approves the variance, a no vote denies the variance. Heather, please call the vote.
Mr. Dunn?
Yes.
Mr. Sweeney?
Yes?
Mr. Hamilton?
Yes.
Mr. Collins?
Yes.
Mr. Valenti?
Yes, the variance has been approved.
Good luck.
All right, yep, good luck. Next on the agenda is the approval of minutes. I would like to call a motion to approve the minutes from September 2018.
So moved.
How about a second?
Second.
Thank you.
I didn't realize.
Is there any discussion or additions or deletions regarding the minutes?
I'll abstain, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
Abstain.
All right, you guys are good with the minutes as written? Okay,
Okay.
Yes.
okay.
No,
The
Jim,
question is on approval of the minutes from September 2018. A yes vote approves the minutes, a no vote does not. All in favor of approving the minutes as written, say aye.
Aye.
Skip, aye.
All right,
All right,
sorry.
you're abstaining and Todd's abstaining for the record. The minutes from September
Jim when you need him.
2018 have now been approved. Our next meeting is on November 14th, 2018. The Concord Township Board of Zoning Appeals is now closed.